Welcome back, fans and friends. For this upcoming video, we have a unique one-off, the Batmobile from the Batman movie. And so this is just a one-off. It's based on muscle cars. It is not a muscle car. Well, it is a muscle car itself, but it's not based off any manufactured ones. It has similar resemblances to a wide variety. You have a bit of Camaro, a bit of, I think, an AMC Javelin. And I know people are going to disagree with me there, but I do believe it's a little bit. So I'm just going to go over it quickly. It is, there you go, there you see the Batman movie, 178 out of the 250, so this is the basic line. And the DC licensing there, Mattel and Batman, because they do have actually 5 other, in this series, Batmobiles. There's the animated one, the one from the Batman vs. Superman, and a few others. So just go to the back, and you see there, obviously, the warning and all sorts. And I guess you have there Russian, French, Spanish, and I believe it's Portuguese, but I'm not sure. And then you have Mattel empowering the next generation through play. And the French for that, you have all the licensing stuff, recycling, plastic, hotwheels.com. And you have there the made in Malaysia, the barcode, it's a sort number, and everything else. So this is the basic line here we have, and I just want to point out that it does do some things really well. And so why I'm bringing that up is because actually they had on the shelf at the same time this, which is the expensive version of that. This is the metal on metal, as you guys know, the Hot Wheels premiums. And the DC, the Batman, everything else is just literally just reversed off of that car over there for the packaging. And as you can see, it has a little bit more detail, but we're going to take it out of the package. You're going to see actually it's missing some details that one over there has. And so just for the back, for the Hot Wheels collector, then you have the multiple languages, conforms to its safety standards, made in Indonesia instead of Malaysia. There's its production number, so 2022, the 1st, February 4th, first day of that. And then you have the small parts may be generated if you slam it on the floor. Collectors.com, you have DC, Batman, Warner Brothers. You have the recycling stuff, you have its GRL number. And as you know, the GRX number on that's a little bit different. You have it's assorted because it's premium. And the exact same thing as what we saw over here, but in color, because this cost $1.65, so with tax is about $1.70, sorry, $1.80. And this costs almost $7, so it is 3 or 4 times more. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the basic one. And once again, it is not for me, obviously, but the easiest thing in the world to open. I'm just going to try to go over it quickly because we have obviously 2 cars to go over. And as you can see there, it's 2-tone. Except for the red there, you have just the silver and, sorry, 3-tone. You have this color here, that color, and then the body color. Windshield is nice and clean, very wide. You have a lot of etching, so like I brought up with Lancia Stratos and the 37 share some design elements with that. Apparently the car in the movie has 2 different engines. There's an LS3 from a Camaro in here, and then this is a custom designed. They keep calling it a turbine, but I see pistons. And obviously you have an exhaust, but you can make an exhaust flame out. And I do understand turbines do have that sort of exhaust vent in an enclosed environment. But, I mean, it is a fictional car, so they can say whatever they want. And then you have the different colors of the reds for the brake lights, the turn lights, the car there. You have good detail there. I thought that was a chip, but as it turns out, all 4 wheels have it. I think it's just a production stamping, not a defect. And then you have you can clearly see bolts, because the car has been hand assembled by Batman himself for the sole purpose of crime fighting. And it's mainly made for night. Apparently, that's why it's not as showy. It does actually, I'm going to bring it up really quickly, design elements from an AMC Javelin. I'll show you guys later. Anyway, made in Malaysia, you have there Batmobile GRX23, the DC Warner Brothers labeling number 21, and then 2020 Mattel. And then you have there the what I do find interesting though is the really high end version of that 5 mile an hour bumper you have here. Obviously, the car is made for ramming. It does it several times in the movie, but that is just that to the next level. So, as always, just the last thing to do, and you see it rolls by itself. All Mattels do. Well, at least the greater majority of the ones. Originally, I thought this was the exhaust, but it could just be the running boards. It looks like it's just running boards. The exhaust might be here. Unfortunately, the detail is very basic on it, so you can't really tell. So, with that pretty much done, we go to this one here, which is obviously the high-end version, supposed to be of that one. I've already covered the package, so I'm just going to quickly, hopefully, pop it out of its plastic and paper. And as you can see, it is colored rather differently. You can see a little bit more color details. The red, like in the movie, how this glows red. Other than that, it has it does. Okay, so it does have the red, but due to the color contrast of the lighting I have it is less visible. Sorry, you can just see it's actually extremely much wider. Is it done more to scale? I have no idea. But as you guys can see, there are a few different accents. For instance, this follows like a more flow-through design rather than this. Like in the movie, it's more evident that there's bars there. So I'm just going to go over it quickly. You can barely see into the cabin. I don't know if that's an effect of the cabin itself being black or the lighting. But it does look like, just a second. It does look like it is harder to see inside the cabin from the front windshield. It is about twice the weight of this one. So you are getting, if you want an increased weight vehicle, there you go. As for the front bumper, it is done much darker. It is actually done in a very much plainer, as you guys can see there. There is no indication of headlights. Unfortunately, in either of them. You know, in the movie, he does have headlights on. Otherwise, he would be very difficult to drive at night. Other than that, we just go to the bottom, where you can see everything is done in larger letters, despite the fact that the car is wider. You have the Batmobile, you have the serial number there, you have the GR76 there, and Mattel looks almost like it's misprinted, but it's not. 2020, so the same year, made in Indonesia instead of Malaysia. You have more of the skeletal frame visible rather than it being totally flat. No indication of a differential. As you guys know, I think the car in the movie is four-wheel drive. All four wheels, no, in this one, the rear wheels are wider than the front wheels, so exactly like in the movie. And for this one, actually, the wheels, more or less, I do think they are virtually the same. So that is just one knock against the premium version in the movie. You guys do know, you do see that the rear wheels are wider than the front wheels. Certain muscle cars, a lot of drag racers, which the car has a lot of inspiration from. The rear wheels, which are the drive wheels, this car's four-wheel drive, but the drive wheels will be wider than the front wheels. So they took a lot of, you can obviously see the bolts in much better detail. The car obviously is armored. The wheels do not share the bulged out center as they do in the movie. As you can see, they're very different. So neither of these cars have those kind of wheels. So that's just sort of, it's like a Dodge Ram. If you guys watch the Dodge Ram video that I did, the wheels are filled in the middle. For the purpose of, once again, if you're going to be hitting people with them, you don't want anything getting stuck in the middle. Especially with things like brakes and suspension underneath. Other than that, the engine detail appears to be just a little bit better. It's definitely not worse, but it's not And there you can see how much wider it is. And obviously the two exhausts here are more recessed into the back of the vehicle. It is the dull matte black as well. It is not the shiny you can see there, the reflection off the light. It's much more subdued on this car, so this car would probably be better as a representation at night. It does have the rubber wheels, as you guys can see there. I'm peeling it off, putting it right back in place. So that's another thing that the premiums will have. These ones will have all plastic wheels. So as for its driving, it's a little bit, because it's a bit heavier, it doesn't roll quite as well. You guys can see there that one is so light it just goes. This one is much heavier. You can see a bit more of engine, the bolts on the top there. They're present as well, but the cutouts are less prominent. But like, once again, I don't know why they didn't just take the best features of the, I want to say cheap one, but the basic line, and then just make it into premium. So I hope that covers most of the car. I've covered pretty much. You get a little bit better detail, a little bit better molding, like with the bolts and everything else. It is less reflective, so it has that matte black finish instead of the slightly pearlescent. You can see there. The detail here are way better. Like if you run, you run your fingers over. They're both cutouts, but this one is a little bit deeper, more etched in feel to it. No moving parts whatsoever, no opening doors, nothing like that. Other than that, I just want to bring it up quickly. You guys can yell at me later in the video. But one of the vehicles that serves it, obviously you have your classic muscle cars, the Camaro, the Mustang, from Dodge you have the Charger, the Viper, sorry, not Viper, Challenger and Charger. And while I don't have with me any of those other vehicles, I did bring, just to point out, a couple of design elements. I'll use the premium version for that. But why it's not really too much like these classic muscle cars is because you have a couple of things like the flow-through aerodynamics. You have high rear end, which obviously because the engine, this engine's bay is open, so it's very different from those kinds of aesthetics. But also, you guys know, you can clearly see the curved design elements here. So I have a number one contender for that, and it's this. Because as you do see, look at the windows, very similar. Well, obviously the diamond shape is not quite as pointy in this, but you do have the flow down elements, the cut-ins for the rear. And then look at the roof, the one piece. Obviously, like I said, it's not quite as curved there. You can see the wheel wells. Obviously, the rear of the vehicle is not going to be similar at all, but you do see the rear cutout though for the windshield. And then once again, you go to the front and you do have that sort of bump here that very few of these other ones, like the straight ones. Now, of course, he can take it from any era he wants. That's exactly true. For example, this is a modern Camaro's 6.2 liter engine. I think it's the LS3 as what they described it in the featurette. So, but you guys can see it clearly there. You can see straight into the cabin and you can see the seats. While with this one, I guess, he has to keep his sort of anonymity, but I mean, I think Mattel has just done a poor job of the plastic here. Like, you can't see into the cabin at all. But anyway, so I just wanted to say that this is my video for the Batmobile, not the AMC Javelin or the Dodge Challenger. They're just here for fun. And there you have it. This is the premium version. This is the basic lines version. You can see how much lighter it is. You just tap it and it goes. Like, anyway. So are you getting a better car for 3.5 times the price? Not really. There's enough differences that the cars, in fact, it's not just a low trim and a high trim. It's a bunch of things. It's, do you want slightly more coloring, slightly more detail, slightly more etching? The engines on both of them feel really nice, but obviously there are some differences. The wheels, like I said, the problem with this is that Mattel decided to have all four wheels the same, while in fact on the basic one it's done slightly better with the wider rear wheels and these thinner front wheels. There is no evidence, like I said, it was made also to jump and land, so the suspension for that is like a demolition derby car actually. So guys, I bring this Batmobile from the Batman video to a conclusion. This is Thomas from Toronto. I hope you guys like this one, and till the next one.